no harm. Oh, darling, if you leave me, I never make it alone. Believe me when I beg you.
Hi, my name is Michael Gutierrez. I'm from Boston. I'm a freelance reporter. I write a lot about music. In late 2024, I planned a trip to Istanbul. The plan was to write a piece about the music scene in Istanbul in March of 2025. Then I'd connect with my wife in Cyprus, who would be there on a work trip, and we would enjoy something like a vacation together in her off hours. But when Trump came into office and Elon Musk's Doge took over, the conference she was organizing, which brought together scientists from around the world to advance climate and soil studies, was ruled wasteful. Funding was cut. Her work trip was canceled. The ticket I bought to Istanbul, however, was non-refundable. And since it was cheaper to live a week in Turkey than America, I went anyway. I wanted to capture the sights, sounds, and smells of hard-working rock bands in Istanbul. And I got that. But I got more. A lot more. I discovered a land of tyranny.
Ayrıca ben sakatım. Halı sahada kendimi sakatladım. Ama hiçbir şey müzik yapmamıza engel olmasın. Şimdiden iyi dinlemeler.
Another night, another protest. I learned that the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, had recently jailed the mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu, a popular man, on trumped-up corruption charges. After witnessing protests 2 nights in a row, I got curious. I visited the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, a kind of city hall, where the mayor was headquartered before he was jailed. The site had become a magnet for protest. Citizens from all walks of life came out in the tens of thousands to express their anger and to show their support, not just for İmamoğlu, but for the inherent value of free and fair elections. The mayor was widely viewed as the most viable opposition candidate to the incumbent President Erdogan, who has held a tyrant's grip on the levers of power for over 20 years. To jail the main opposition candidate on phony charges was the act of a tyrant, not the act of a president in a functioning democracy. The demonstrators kept their vigil active during the daytime, but the protests did not generally heat up until nighttime, after people got out of work. Direc-T was an alt-90s cover band. Mondays can be slow nights for music clubs. Some don't even bother to open until midweek. But Agac Ev had music every night of the week, with 3 acts scheduled for Monday night alone. I was impressed. There are stray dogs and cats everywhere in Istanbul. Everyone feeds them and they're very gentle. This dog started following a group of protesters marching through the street. I started following the dog. The protesters crossed the street to demonstrate in the local square, but the dog wasn't brave enough to risk the crosswalk. So he went back to whatever doorstep he called home. On Tuesday, I visited Taksim Square in the Beyoğlu district. My guidebook described it as one of the most iconic and vibrant tourist destinations in the heart of Istanbul. A hub of restaurants, shopping, arts, and entertainment of all kinds. Taksim Square came to my attention on the taxi ride from the airport on my first night in Istanbul. The driver, who spoke no English, translated a brief message on his phone to explain the excessive traffic on the highway. When I looked out the window, I saw that the police had blocked off the exit to Taksim Square. Like the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, the square was a magnet for mass demonstrations, but the Taksim Square I found in the daytime was nearly deserted, except for police, crowd control tanks, and kilometers worth of fencing used to channel pedestrians through narrow and more efficiently controlled passageways. I retreated to Karakoy. As I listened to the throwback hair metal of Smokey Signal, I thought again about the driver's message. Did he really believe the corruption charges? Or was it just simpler to avoid political nuance with tourists? Without speaking the language, I would never be able to ask questions like that. I was barely able to accomplish the most basic goal of my trip to Istanbul: survey all the local music scene had to offer. In 4 nights, I had only found one club, Agac Ev. But I didn't regret my loyalty to the venue, which never failed to provide a full night of music for a very reasonable cover charge. And it felt good to establish a familiar routine night after night, especially in a foreign country, especially when traveling alone. Feel-good promotional images of the jailed mayor were everywhere. Not quite as ubiquitous as images of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. Founding father of the Republic of Turkey. But the face of the mayor was everywhere, nonetheless. This huge banner disappeared from the broadside of the Karakoy ferry station, only to mysteriously reappear on the other side of the Bosphorus, suspended above a Karakoy street. Or maybe not so mysteriously. A demonstration sponsored by Imamoglu's opposition party, complete with party merchandise, professional camera crews, and scheduled speakers, was gathering force beneath the banner, right outside the windows of Agac Ev, as the blues band ran through a sound check. one block away, a massive contingent of police was gathering as well. The officers were outfitted in riot gear, armed with assault weapons. They arrived with enough numbers to fill 5 buses. The police pretended to be relaxed. The locals pretended to be relaxed. I was not relaxed. People outside were dancing, not to the blues, but to the music of protest, which tends to be light on melody and heavy on rhythm. Good for dancing, if the spirit moves you. Time in Istanbul was coming to a close. I'd seen many wonders, monuments to an ancient culture many times older than the oldest artifacts making up the history of my own country. On my last day, I walked through the tonier sections of the Beyrut district to appreciate the modern aspect of the city. I stopped at the Para Museum. Presently, the museum was exhibiting works by Marcel Duchamp, including a few collaborations with Raymond Pettibone, 2 North American artists based in New York City. The subject matter was mostly a loud political critique of Trump, his cronies, and their love of fascism. How many ways can you call Trump a fascist? Does it even shock anymore? Their efforts were at least easy on the eyes. And I did not doubt that the curators at the Para Museum also intended the exhibition as a proxy critique of their own tyrant, Erdogan. I wondered, though, would they have the courage to curate a gallery of paintings that skewered Erdogan directly and without proxy? Maybe after more than 20 years of rule by a tyrant, you learn where the boundary for dissent lies, and it's judged good, right, just, and normal to approach that line, but never to cross it if you want to remain among polite society and out of jail. What would polite society make of the abduction of Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish national in America on a valid student visa? She was in a PhD program at Tufts University, walking distance from where I live back in the States. Masked, plainclothes ICE agents stole her off the street on March 25th without warning, relocated her to another state against a judge's orders, and sought her deportation. Very little was offered by way of explanation from federal authorities. What explanation is there to give when the explanation would only prove out lawlessness of the act? Better to just inflict the violence, say nothing, and move on to the next victim. Move fast and break things, as they say in Silicon Valley. I felt all the more ashamed when I learned that she was a Turkish national. After the hospitality I had enjoyed from the people of Istanbul, after the good times, good music, and good beers at Agac Ev, After all I'd come to appreciate about this imperfect world on the Bosphorus in a short time, it grieved me that Öztürk should receive such treatment in America, my own land of tyranny. Istanbul is a city between two worlds, east and west. Every day I took the ferry back and forth across the Bosphorus. These were the most tranquil moments. A busker was always playing a tune, and the tourists and children tossed crumbs of food off the side of the boat, where patient seabirds had trained themselves to catch the bounty before it fell into the strait. Swooping and diving, and sometimes getting lucky. It was a funny sight, but a little sad too.